Adonai roi lo echsan binot dasher bitzeni al mei menuchot yenaleni nafshi yeshovev yancheini b'magle tzedek yancheini b'magle tzedek leman shemo gam ki elech begetz al mavet lo irana ki ata imadi shivtecha umishantecha hema yenachamuni taharoch lefanai shulchan neged tzorerai tishanta mashem roshi kosi revaya ach tov v'chesed yedefuni koyemei chayai Vishavti beveit Adonai leorech yamim. Adonai roi lo echsad. Adonai roi lo
As we are all here together to bring and find comfort, we turn in our yellow programs to the inside to share together these words of Psalm 23. Please read with me. A psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. God leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of Adonai forever.
Welcome to the service of memory. As we gather to reflect on the beautiful life of Rachelle Deborah Golden. And as we read that psalm together, all of us, I'm sure, felt as though we were living the words of King David, walking through the valley of the shadow. In Hebrew, we refer to a memorial service as a levaya or livia. It means to escort a person, to walk with them. And today we walk together with Rachelle's memory. and those in this room and those joining us online who feel the full blessing and the power of that memory are Rachelle's beloved family. To Dan and to Jacob and Hannah and Ella. To Cheryl and her husband Rob. To Bob and his wife Gail. To Scott and his wife Erica. To Lila and Gavin. To Harriet. To Susan and her husband Michael. To Matt and to Kristen. To Wake and Willow. To Gil. We offer our prayers for your comfort on this difficult day. We are walking with you. There is a book that Rachelle loved to read to Jacob and to Hannah. And I imagine to Ella as well. It's called The Invisible String. Jacob and Hannah were nice enough to tell me the story and how much that book means to them. And how that special story reminded them of their mother. This morning, as we gather to celebrate the life of Rachelle, I thought everybody should know this story. The Invisible String is about two children, Liza and Jeremy, who could not sleep one night because there was thunder and lightning outside. And they came downstairs and they told their mommy how afraid they were and how they wanted to be close to her. It was then that she told her children about that invisible string, and she held it out in front of them. "I don't see a string," said Jeremy. His mommy said, "You don't need to see the invisible string. People who love each other are always connected by a very special string made of love. But if you can't see it, how do you know it's there?" asked Liza. Her mother replied, "Even though you can't see it with your eyes, you can feel it with your heart and know that you are always connected to everyone you love." And the mother continued, "When you're at school and you miss me, your love travels all the way along the string until I feel it tugging at my heart. And when you tug it right back, we feel it in our hearts." The book continues with the children imagining all the places that they could see the invisible string. In a submarine, in the jungle, or even out in space. And at one point, Jeremy quietly asked, "Can my string reach all the way to heaven? Can it connect to those who have died?" "Yes," the mother said, "even there." This beautiful story teaches that we are all connected as long as we remain conscious of the string that connects our hearts. And as a result, the book ends, we are never alone. What a powerful story. And it's true. Hannah and Jacob told me all the things that connect them to their mommy through that invisible string. All of their memories of making smoothies with every ingredient in the kitchen. Isn't that right, Jacob? Or going to Dairy Queen just a few days before Ella was born and having that chocolate and vanilla swirl. Or going to the Museum of Science and Industry. Or, Hannah's favorite, to the planetarium. They were the special places that they visited with Mommy. Along with the important trip to Potbelly's along the way. And if you ask Jacob and Hannah, they can tell you all about healthy foods, healthy snacks. And I want to say that Hannah is the first 5-year-old who could speak intelligently with me about pesticides. She is her mother's daughter, isn't she? And Jacob and Hannah made it clear to me that a simple walk with their mommy could be an amazing adventure. And both of them told me that they had the best mommy in the world. When I asked them why, Jacob told me because she's funny. Hannah, because she's very nice. And as they spoke, I could see the reality of that invisible string, and that it was very much intact between their hearts and Rachelle's. And looking over at Dan during that conversation, he was beaming, taking such delight in his children. And there too, I could see that invisible string of that remarkable love that Dan and Rachelle share. Looking around the room and looking to those joining us online, I see people who got to know Rachelle over the course of her life. Maybe in California or in Arizona. Maybe at the University of Arizona, or maybe a stockbroker, or maybe a fellow classmate at Northwestern Law School, or a colleague at Mayor Brown, or maybe through Dan. But one thing for certain, and you know this better than I, Rachelle had no appreciation for casual relationships. If you were in her presence, you were all in. So if you're sitting in this room or you're joining us online, it's because there's a string that connects your heart with Rachelle's. And all of those strings are united today in love of this extraordinary woman. and it connects us all together. So today we gather and we acknowledge those strings, all of those connections. And even though Rachelle is no longer living, the fact is that all of us are connected to that remarkable heart. And each of us can bask in the radiance of Rachelle's remarkable smile, in the photographs, the montage that Dan so lovingly created. Last night I had the privilege of going over to the house and spending time with Dan and some of the family. And I spoke to them about a teaching of the Baal Shem Tov. He was the founder of modern Hasidism. He taught that you can mourn for a person in tears. He taught that you can mourn for a person in silence. And he taught that you can mourn for a person in song. Rachel had an unforgiving, cruel illness. And it was an unfair fight from the beginning. She couldn't have fought harder, and truth be told, she lived far longer than her doctors expected. And it was sheer will that made that possible. There was no medicine, Western or Eastern, that Rachelle was not willing to try, no diet regimen that she was unwilling to take on. But in the end, the illness overpowered her. Now, there have been many a tear shed, and I'm quite sure long moments of silence as we ponder the unfairness of it all, or tragic death. But the fact that Rachelle died tragically does not make her life a tragedy. So to focus on the tragedy of her death today would serve as an insult to the life that she led. The illness that took her body didn't take her soul. To her last moments, Rachelle was Rachelle, thanking the nurses, expressing her love for Dan and her children, her family, her friends. And to the end, she never lost her sense of humor. When her eyesight was failing, Rachelle's brother Scott decided to wear one of his Arizona State University sweatshirts. And somehow, Rachelle was able to detect that hated sweatshirt and call her brother out. Today, we have gathered to celebrate those remarkable strings of memory that Rachelle Deborah Golden leaves to those whose lives she touched. We are here to celebrate the exquisite heart of Rachelle, the love that she shared and the lessons that she leaves, and mourn her in song. So if you look at the video screens, we will get to view some of the special moments of her life.
When I see your face, there's not a thing that I would change, 'cause you're amazing, just the way you are. say what's impossible, but they forgot. This world keeps spinning, and with each new day I can feel a change in everything. And as the surface breaks, reflections fade, but in some ways they remain the same. And as my mind begins to spread its wings, there's no stopping curiosity. I wanna turn the whole thing upside down. I'll find the things they say just can't be found. I'll share this love I find with everyone. We'll sing and dance to Mother Nature's songs. I don't want this feeling to go away. Who's to say I can't do everything, but I can try? And as I roll along, I begin to find things aren't always just what they seem. I wanna turn the whole thing upside down. I'll find the things they say just can't be found. I'll share this love I find with everyone. We'll sing and dance to Mother Nature's song. This world keeps spinning and there's no time to waste. Well, it all keeps spinning, spinning round and round and upside down. Who's to say what's impossible and can't be found? I don't want this feeling to go away. Please don't go away. Please don't go away.
There we go.
Please don't go away. Is this how it's supposed to be? Is this how it's supposed to be?
Like a sunrise on the longest night, like a rescue, coming just in time, you save me when I cannot see the light. Like a heartbeat to a lonely drum, when I thought that the end had come, you remind me that it's only just begun. Took my soul down to the water, mama, I came back a different man. Long as we got one another singing, oh, oh, oh. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Got a brand new lease on life. Everything's gonna be alright. When I look into your eyes, got a brand new lease on life. Like a deep breath, wanna take you in when I hold you. I'm alive again, you're the proof that God's been listening. You're the side where the grass is green, yeah, you shake me like a tambourine. No jerseys, but we make quite a team. When you took my soul down to the water, mama, I came back a different man. Long as we got one another singing, oh, oh, oh. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Got a brand new lease on life. Everything's gonna be alright. When I look into your eyes, got a brand new lease on life. got a brand new lease on life. Everything's gonna be alright when I look into your eyes. Got a brand new lease on life. Took my soul down to the water, mama. I came back a different man. Long as we got one another singing. Got a brand new lease on life. Took my soul down to the water, mama. I came back.
Say cheese, Daddy. Cheese. Mommy's camera.
There's no combination of words I could put on the back of a postcard. No song that I could sing, but I can try for your heart. Our dreams, and they are made out of real things, like a shoebox of photographs with sepia tone loving. Love is the answer, at least, for most of the questions in my heart. Why are we here and where do we go, and how come it's so hard? It's not always easy, and sometimes life can be deceiving. I'll tell you one thing, it's always better when we're together. It's always better when we're together. Yeah, we'll look at them stars when we're together. Well, it's always better when we're together. Yeah, it's always better when we're together. And all of these moments just might find their way into my dreams tonight. But I know that they'll be gone when the morning light sings or brings new things. For tomorrow night you see that they'll be gone too. Too many things I have to do. But if all of these dreams might find their way into my day-to-day scene, I'll be under the impression I was somewhere in between, with only two, just me and you. Not so many things we got to do, or places we got to be. We'll sit beneath the mango tree now. Yeah, it's always better when we're together. We're somewhere in between together. Well, it's always better when we're together. Yeah, it's always better when we're together.
Can I try?
I believe in memories, they look so pretty when I sleep. Hey, now and when I wake up, you look so pretty sleeping next to me. But there is not enough time. There is no song I could sing, and there is no combination of words I could say, but I will still tell you one thing: we're better together. I will fight for you. I always do, until my heart is black and blue. I will stay with you. We'll make it to the other side, like lovers do. I'll reach my hands out in the dark and wait for yours to, until I can wait for you. I'll wait for you. 'Cause I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up, no, not yet. Even when I'm down to my last breath. Even when they say there's nothing left. So don't give up on. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up,
Now, I'll hold on to you. No matter what this world throws, it won't shake me loose. I'll reach my hands out in the dark and wait for yours to enter like I wait for you. I'll wait for you. Oh, hey. Whoa. I've been waiting on the sunset, bills on my mindset. I can't deny it, getting higher than my income's breadcrumbs. I've been trying to survive. The glow that the sun gets right around sunset helps me to realize this is just a journey. Drop your worries, you are gonna turn out fine. Oh, you turn out fine. Fine, oh, you turn out fine. But you gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. You gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. I know it's hard.
You can mourn in song. Thank you, Dan, for putting that incredible montage together. And you should know that this entire service was the vision of Dan. It's a way of celebrating Rachelle's life. We're going to be honored to hear from friends and family who will be speaking and also sharing some of Rachelle's wisdom. I'm going to call on Shira Ellenberg Blanton and Erica Itasso to join us and share some of their remembrances and remarks. And as they come forward, I want to take a moment to thank Sam Melton, a member of our staff who's handling all the technology today, and thank him for his efforts. Please.
I don't know if I should leave the mask on and ugly cry into it or just ugly cry in front of all of you guys, but we're going to just go for it. I also didn't coordinate with the rabbi, but I realized a lot of the themes are, you're going to see continuous through what everybody has to say. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm going to cry. I wanted to share some memories about Rachelle, and I didn't know where to begin. And it ends up it's a lot harder to do this than I thought, to try to put something together that's cohesive, because I think the grief that I'm feeling, that we're all feeling, is just so heavy. It was also really hard because Rachelle was such a strong person, and I think she really valued her privacy so much, which is an honor to be included into her sphere. I was nervous about talking about the times that we shared during which I genuinely got to know her. Because even though I've technically known Rachelle for many years, in fact, I have a vague recollection of the first date that she and Dan went on afterwards, actually. I don't really feel like I genuinely got to know her deeply and authentically until she got diagnosed with cancer. And I don't want to present her as someone who was sick or weak, because she was neither of those things. Not ever, and certainly not with cancer. We all got the email from Dan in December of 2020, right before New Year's. And I'm sure most of us had the same response. After reaching out to find out how we might be able to help, the Google search started, trying to get a sense of what her timeline was, how dire the cancer was, what the prognosis looked like, and how much time she had. I know we all wanted to help, to make some contribution, to lessen their struggle and their pain. And gradually, as 2020 turned into 2021, the meal train got set up. Each of us found little ways to help and feel like we were lifting them up somehow. And Rachelle did a lot of it on her own with the support of Dan and their family. It took a village, and the village was working together. The weeks passed somehow, and the Google results had been wrong, and Rachelle was already outliving the grim prognoses that we had all seen from our initial searches. And then one day, Dan called to ask me if I would do them a favor. I didn't even ask what it was, I just said sure. Dan and Rachelle asked if I would administer an experimental cancer vaccine to her. No one really knew anything about it. I mean, some things, but there was a lot that was unknown. No one knew about the reactions or the side effects, and I was nervous, but I said I would do anything I could, and this was an incredibly actionable way to truly and meaningfully contribute, so I was all in. And because I'm a nurse, and because Dan essentially supported me through my graduate school nursing program, and I wanted to help however I can, I said, sure, when? That's the funny thing about offering to help. Sometimes people actually take you up on it. I never told her this, but I was so nervous. The first time we did her shots, it felt like I was disarming a bomb. I didn't know how it was going to go. But it was great. It was fine. She was a boss, of course. There was part of the shot that hurt. But she breathed through it just like an expert and handled it with grace. My job wasn't just to administer the injections. I think my help was also to bring love and support and openness into the experience, to bring calm and de-escalation, and to arm her with empowerment and knowledge and support and validation. And that's what we did, once a week for a month, and then every month thereafter. I also brought an insanely well-packed bag of nearly everything and anything I might need to reverse an emergency. We needed to wait an hour between the first shot and the second. We would set a timer, and I made a spreadsheet where we could document her vital signs and her reaction to the shot. I titled the spreadsheet, "Shelster Beats the Odds." During this hour, we would wait together. For the few doses, Dan was home too, but I got the sense, once all three of us saw that everything was going okay, he and Rachelle felt more safe about him taking the kids places and doing other stuff. And so it would just be the two of us. Like I said before, we didn't really know each other before. We did, but not deeply. Something about facing mortality can really change a person's perspective. Because of my work, I'm regularly facing mortality with people, but I've never seen anyone as in touch with the reality of their own impermanence as she was. Rachelle was very aware of her own mortality, not afraid, not in denial, just aware. She was actively doing everything she could to make more time, to heal herself, to love her kids, to love Dan. She turned surviving cancer into a full-time job, and she was incredible at it. It was awe-inspiring. We didn't always talk about cancer. She seemed to really appreciate hearing about some of the catastrophic things that I had been dealing with, and I was happy to share them. I noticed that she had developed an incredible sense of humor, and one day I said so. Something like, "Rachelle, I don't ever remember you having such a great sense of humor. Is this a side effect of cancer?" We all laughed because dark comedy is the best comedy. And then she said something like, "I guess it's just Dan rubbing off on me all these years," literally, which is objectively hilarious, especially when you're not expecting the punchline. We talked a lot about our feelings and our upbringings, which is also one of my favorite personal and professional topics. Sometimes I would feel enraged, and I told her so. I asked why her default wasn't angry too. She told me her default was sad, that being angry took too much energy, that she didn't have to spare. I think about that. I try to apply it to my life. During our times together, I learned that Rachelle's heart was so full of love, in a way that when I initially met her, I thought was inauthentic. I thought, no way, she's like this. But having been able to spend those special times with her, I know that her love was the truest and most astonishing love. There was something extra therapeutic about our visits, and even though the premise was me giving her a shot, it was also like a velvet VIP rope had been lifted and I got to skip the COVID and cancer restrictions and hang out with a friend. Things were going well for a while, and we made it out of the weekly schedule onto the monthly schedule and into March. And because life is an insane roller coaster of unpredictable peaks and valleys, we were due for a downslope. And then we had to postpone the shots because of COVID and cancer and chemo and inpatient hospitalizations. When Dan eventually told me that the hospital had made an exception to allow the kids in to see her, I was heartsick. These are the types of compassionate exemptions that we reserve for dire situations. And I understood then that although Rachelle had beaten the odds, her time was near. I texted Dan the Saturday before she died just to see if I could bring anything, and he let me know I could come to the hospital to say goodbye. It all just happens so fast sometimes. Everything's okay until it's not. When I got to the hospital, I could tell that Rachelle was transitioning from this life to whatever comes next. She looked comfortable. Her breathing was unlabored. Dan showed me the tie-dyed shirt that he'd made for her. His 3-time champion of momming. She was getting a continuous dose of Dilaudid. I took some comfort in that. Her eyes were closed, and she was surrounded by everyone that she loves, who loves her. He told me I could hold her hand, and so I sat next to her, and I held her hand. I put my head on her shoulder. I thanked her for letting me walk with her through this experience. I told her that I loved her. I told her I'd see her on the other side. I've been with a lot of people when they die. It can be gruesome and humiliating. But Rachelle's death was nothing like that. She was surrounded by love and support and sent off by a 2-day procession of adoring friends, her beloved children, her mother, and Dan. It was like all the love that she'd been carrying around in her heart had come back to send her off. Knowing this gave me a little peace. Knowing that she gave me the honor of trusting me to experience this experimental cancer vaccine and everything that went with it is a gift that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. May her memory be a blessing.
Our friend Melissa Oka couldn't be here today, so I'll be reading for her first, and then I'll read something that I've prepared. So this is from Melissa. My friendship with Rachelle began in 2008, as all good friendships do, in a freezing cold conference room, negotiating liquidity asset purchase agreements. We began our careers together as junior associates at the law firm Mayer Brown, both in the finance department, during a very difficult moment to be a finance lawyer in a high-pressure environment. And if you find yourself perhaps wondering what exactly a liquidity asset purchase agreement is, well, you understand how immediately upon meeting, Rachelle and I had a shared understanding facet of our lives that not many other people did. But I'm not gonna lie, this wasn't a friendship at first sight. I was incredibly intimidated by Rachelle. Here was a smart, witty, intense, hardworking, beautiful woman who could easily have become a rival or even worse, a frenemy. But I soon realized, as the rabbi at her interment in Scottsdale so accurately pointed out, that Rachelle's superpower is empathy. And how can someone who can see that deeply into your soul become anything but a cherished friend and a confidant? And for me, she quickly did. When we both went through a very difficult time in our careers near the end of 2010, Rachelle and I would meet up several times a week at a little coffee shop on Fullerton Avenue. If those walls could talk, they heard, wow, a lot of anger, frustration, and anxiety. But no matter how upset we were, all of that was eventually drowned out by an uncontrollable laughter, the kind that makes your sides and stomach hurt, as I used to beg her, please stop making me laugh. That was Rachelle. She could simultaneously look into your soul and understand you better than you understand yourself, and make you laugh until coffee came out of your nose. That unique understanding we had of each other's work lives quickly started to grow and spread to other parts of our lives. From that first job, we shared so many other firsts. We met our husbands a couple of months apart. We got married exactly a year apart. Twice revealed our pregnancy news to each other at the same brunch, had 2 babies just weeks apart in age, and went from sharing information on the financial markets to sharing the wonders and worries of motherhood. Through each of these life changes, our connection grew, and I learned so much and gained so many important nuanced insights from her. She was both a friend and a de facto therapist. And her ability to really, really listen and make me feel seen and heard never wavered, no matter what she had going in her life, even cancer. I'll end by sharing with you something I told her in her final days, as I think sums up all the things I wish I had time and words to say here today. That is that my heart is changed forever. It is broken, but it's also stronger and more whole because she is in it. Rachelle, thank you, my dear, sweet friend. I miss you more than words can say, and I love you so very much. So I get to do this again. This one is now for me. I first met Rachelle at a Cubs game during our first week of law school. My first thought before we spoke was that I probably was not going to get along with this woman because someone that beautiful would probably not be very nice or fun. As it turns out, I was very wrong, because within seconds of actually meeting her, you realized that in a very cliche way, she was truly beautiful inside and out, and very fun and funny. We bonded over the fact that we seemed to be the only 2 students in the whole school who had not come from an Ivy League college. And in this very intimidating environment, she became a source of light and comfort. We were friendly as we bumped into each other for the next 2.5 years of school, but didn't really become friends until our last semester, when we realized that we both got a job at Mayer Brown as 3rd-year law students, rather than having summer there the year before, like most of the upcoming first-year associates. It was yet another underdog story that bonded us, but this time for life, because once we started our jobs at Mayer Brown, the rest was history. And from then on, our shorthand for each other was Dude. I had the pleasure of witnessing her meet, fall in love, and marry Dan, grow their family, and become truly one of the most amazing moms, and there was no hyperbole to that statement. Although she was absolutely brilliant, she didn't watch action movies because, to quote her, she didn't understand the plot, which I always found really amusing. She wrote thank you notes that were more like novels. I always expected a front and back from her, and I would text her that I had received her thank you note, but I was waiting until I had a 2-hour break in my day to read it. The thing about it, though, is that she meant every word and was actually a deeply thankful and appreciative person. She never just said thank you. She always said thank you, and I can still hear the specific cadence in which she would say it. There's so many things to say about her, but the main one that keeps sticking out to me is her ability to be deeply empathetic. When you talked to her, you felt like she truly cared about everything going on in your life and your problems and your struggles, which stayed true even in the last 16 months when she was going an unfathomable ordeal. You never left a conversation with her feeling like you didn't get a chance to say what you wanted or needed to say, and that you weren't listened to, and that you didn't have someone in your corner feeling for you and thinking of you. For that, she is the voice in my head whenever I'm in a social situation and start asking myself, has everybody had a chance to talk? Am I listening closely enough? Am I talking too much about myself? In essence, WWRD, what would Rachelle do? Writing this was extremely difficult because narrowing down what was like knowing her to a few words or anecdotes feels like it cheapens how powerful and impactful she was in our lives. I also want to keep this short so everyone has a chance to speak. Again, WWRD. I won't speak about her love for Dan and her children and how fiercely she fought because I don't think I can get through it. So I'll end by saying, sorry, that's the hardest part. Thank you, dude, for being a source of light and comfort in my life and the lives of everybody who had a pleasure of knowing you.
Thank you, Shiro. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Melissa. Now, everyone should have received when they entered Mommy's Life Tips. And during the course of our service, some people will be honored in reading from the words of Rachelle and basking in her wisdom. And we're going to start with Dan's mom, Susan, who isn't a mother-in-law, but rather a mother-in-love.
Equipment. Good morning. I'm Softa Susan, Rachelle's other mother by marriage. There aren't enough words to adequately explain how I feel about our sweet Rachelle. I didn't think I was going to speak today at all, but last night I realized I needed to. And there are no words strong enough to comfort or stop the pain from her loss. So many of you have said such wonderful things about your experiences with Rachelle. If you knew Rachelle, you knew these things about her. If you didn't, I'm sorry, you missed out. I literally fell in love with Rachelle the night we first met. To be able to read. She and Dan were dressing up for the annual Chicago Santa Walk. Dan was dressed in blue and silliness as Happy Harry Hanukkah, as Rachelle transformed into Happy Harriet Hanukkah. I helped them. I sewed dreidels onto Daniel's sweater. Dribbles. And I helped Rachelle with her blue hat. And I don't know if she had done anything as silly before, but it was the beginning of her future with silliness. So that night, I walked away from them and ran outside, and our beloved Rachelle was standing there waiting for me, and we just grabbed each other. We hugged, we jumped up and down. We were so excited, I can't even say. We were laughing and shouting, "She's the one, she's the one. This lovely Rachelle is the one." And from then on, I'd always refer to her as the lovely Rachelle. Everybody knew I'd be talking about the lovely Rachelle. Eventually, someone told her this. From then on, often on her phone calls, she'd introduce her by saying, "It's the lovely Rachelle." And indeed, she was truly lovely. and so very much more. I've been keeping myself together these many months. Had to actually write it down. Saying to myself and to others, I must stay well and on course because I have 9 children who need me well and fully functioning. This is still true. I still have 9 children who count on me more than ever to continue grandmothering the 3 precious children Rachelle gave us, Jacob, Hannah, Ella, as well as Wake and Willow. And I will continue supporting our Daniel, our sweet, wonderful Daniel, at every possible opportunity. Rachelle is still my girl. I'm gonna miss her always. And now I was given the honor of beginning to read the Mommy's Life Tips from Rachelle. And as I read through them last night, I realized we're being let in on really a letter, a message for her children. That's good advice for all of us. I'll begin with the first one, if I can get myself to see again. Mommy's Life Tips from Rachelle. Number 1, have self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. Love yourself. Be your own cheerleader. Don't judge yourself or compare yourself to others. You are incredible the way you are. 2, practice gratitude and self-care. You are worthy of taking good care of yourself and spending time each day on gratitude and doing things that feel good to you. Be accountable. Take responsibility for what you can control, and take the time to grow and evolve in uncomfortable situations. Can't actually see. Uncomfortable situations, things we avoid. Number 4, live with an open heart. Love is all around you, and life will feel richer with more love in it. She certainly modeled that for us. Do your best in school and activities. This is your time to shine. School success will help you get to where you want in the future, and success with activities and hobbies is fun, exciting, gives you something of your own. Find a good therapist. Not all therapists are created equally. Find one you can be so super honest with so that you get what you need from it. Therapy is like going to the gym for your mind. Have an open mind. Judging others is such a waste of time. Learn from others. Differences are beautiful. New ideas are valuable. Accept love. Find joy. Find humor. Find a person to laugh, even on hard days. Find a reason to laugh, even on hard days. Life can be intense and be challenging, so give yourself a reason to let go every day and find something amusing. Find the fun. Daddy and I always say this. Sometimes it may not be obvious where the fun is, which is why you may have to find it. You can find a little fun wherever you go, for the most part. Thank you, Rachelle.
going to call on Caitlin McKinney and David Green. To share a song from John Denver entitled Perhaps Love. Wait a minute. Just wait 1 second. We're going to wait for the kids to come in.
Yeah, sorry.
Welcome back. Perhaps love is like a resting place, a shelter from the storm. It exists to give you comfort. It is there to keep you warm. In those times of trouble, when you are most alone, the memory of love will bring you home.
Perhaps love is like a resting place, a shelter from the storm. It exists to give you comfort. It is there to keep you warm. And in all those times of trouble, when you are most alone, the memory of love will bring you home.
Perhaps love is like a window, perhaps an open door. It invites you to come closer. It wants to show you more. And even if you lose yourself and don't know what to do, the memory of love will see you through.
Oh, love to some is like a cloud, to some as strong as steel.
For some a way of living, for some a way to feel.
And some say love is holding on, and some say letting go. And some say love is everything.
And some say they don't know.
Perhaps love is like the ocean, full of conflict, full of pain, like a fire when it's cold outside, thunder when it rains. If I should live forever and all my dreams come true, my memories of love will be of you. Oh, love to some is like a cloud, to some as strong as steel.
For some a way of living, for some a way to feel.
And some say love is holding on, and some say letting go.
Some say love is everything.
And some say they don't know. Perhaps love is like the ocean, full of conflict, full of pain, like a fire when it's cold outside, thunder when it rains. If I should live forever and all my dreams come true, my memories of love will be of you.
Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, David, for reminding us that you can mourn in song. It's now our privilege to hear from family members, from Kristen Golden, Erica Cassman, and Matt Golden. Kristen is a sister in love. Erica, a sister in love, and Matt, a brother in love.
Hello, I'm Kristen Golden Testa, and I have the great honor of being the sister to Rachelle. I first met her when she was just starting to date Dan, and we were going on a camping trip to Yellowstone with our daughter, and a small toddler. And she's not a camper, as we found out. But boy, was she up for it. We were all together in an RV with a small little one, having not been in an RV to wash hair in a little teeny closet, wash dishes in a sink, something all new, but she was willing to take on the challenge. And I immediately knew that this must be the one that could take on life's challenges and embrace them. She and I were very different, but in many ways, but really those were superficial differences, because what was so at the core was that she was somebody who saw me and immediately let me feel very special, and I knew that's how she felt had other people feel as well. It wasn't a skill or a talent, a performative talent. It was just who she was. It was her authentic being, that she let people into her heart and that she could see into yours. It was kind of sort of a Mr. Rogers kind of moment where she really lets you know in her own way that you matter. And it was hard not to befriend her and and feel special in her presence, because she saw right into your soul. It was amazing to watch the relationship between her and Dan. It was so deep and saturated in love, and embraced the silliness and the fun. And she definitely gained Dan's sense of humor, where you just sort of turned around and said, "Did you just say that?" Yeah, she did. And totally embraced it. We hear a lot of people saying how Dan had changed her and brought out her spirit. I'd say the same the other way around. She brought out a level of empathy that I didn't think was even possible, more than what Dan already has. The part that I found so inspiring as a mother was her full embodiment of motherhood. She put all of her being, her empathy, her deep love, and her smarts into being a mother. It became the task of a lifetime that she embraced full-heartedly. And what's so amazing is we look around in her house and they have affirmations for for their children and sayings of how to be positive and not to blame. And I have those in my house, but she really actually embodied them. It was not just the little saying on the wall to remember, it was who she really was in almost every single moment. Her level of patience and embodiment of those sayings were so inspiring, as others have said. There's definitely a WWRD. I think about that often as a mother, like, what Rachelle would take right now? Okay, patience. And I can see it in her children. They already have that. She has indelibly left her mark on them as who they are, as who they will be forever in their lives. Not only in who they look like, but in how they approach love for each other is utterly adorable. You don't often see that level of affection and care for each other at such a young age, but it's there. And I'm so happy that they've had that time with her. I feel so blessed that she's been in my life and she forever will be. I am honored to have her in my heart forever.
Hi, everybody. My name's Matt, I'm Dan's brother. I can't really place the time, but I remember the phone call where Dan just said, I found the one. People like this don't come along all the time. And I think y'all know he's a big goofball. But yeah, as Kristen said, Dan definitely drew the goof out of Rachelle, but Rachelle also grounded Dan in a way that I hadn't seen before and turned you into a great father. I could just see the change. There's so much been said today. This has been such a struggle for the last year and a half. Both you guys have been so brave. Rachelle was so incredibly brave through the whole thing. And Dan, and I remember the last time I was out, when I was leaving and she gave me a big hug. It's okay, Ella, you can say hi to Ella. But she just gave me a big, big embrace. And I'd spent a bunch of time with the kids. And she just said, I'm so glad that we have family. And speaking to you, Dan, you know, and just like she knew that we're all here for you and the kids. She was an amazing part of all of our lives, and she'll stay with us. And we have these beautiful children. And thanks everybody for being here. And she'll have an amazing, special place in all of our hearts.
Will now be our honor to hear from Erica Kassman, who pre-recorded a message.
I'm not going to claim to know a lot about Rachelle before she met Dan, but you're all here because you know her, and you all know she had a nice smile. And she did. She had a nice smile before she met Dan. She met Dan a couple months before Scott and I got married, and she brought him to our wedding, and you could see there was something there. You could see it was different, and she knew it. She caught the bouquet at my wedding, and she made a gesture. She smiled, and she pointed at Dan. And she knew. She knew. The love that Rachelle and Dan share, it's still there. It's going to always be there. It's tangible. It's magical. And it changed her smile. She had a nice smile before she met Dan. And then it became radiant. It reached her eyes.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
I'm sharing this with you all, but mostly I want to share it with Jacob and Hannah and Ella, because it's not often that we get to see our mommy before they were a mommy. And I want you three to see how much love she had for your daddy. And that's what I want you all to strive for. That's what you're reaching for. That kind of love. And that love will always be there. It will be there in your heart. It will be there in all the memories that we're all going to share with you along the way of how special and wonderful Rachelle was, and what a radiant and beautiful smile she had. Her smile was at its best when she was with Dan and you three.
Thank you, Erica. We're going to hear Mommy Life Tips, Section 2, from Ariel Bernstein.
Hello, some of my favorite people, Jacob and Hannah and Ella. I have had the privilege of knowing each of you and loving each of you since you were in your mommy's tummy. And I've had the privilege of loving your mommy for a long time too, and your daddy, and your Safta and Saba. And I have to tell you, I'm really glad you had printouts. Thank you for being so organized. Our printer is broken, and last night I had the thought, I guess I could read it off of my phone. And I thought, oh, that's so tacky. And my mind flashed to sitting in these burgundy velvet chairs next to Rachelle, as we have before. And I could just hear her boisterous laugh from me saying something like that and saying, oh, I know what you mean, but no, it's fine, it'll be fine. So I took that as a little hello from her. And I'm really honored to be able to share these with you, because something about your mommy, she was the best listener and she gave the best advice. And this is really good advice. So when I read these, I could really hear Rachelle's voice saying them. And I hope that when you take this home and you read them over, that you can really hear Rachelle too. I'll try to do justice. Pick your friends wisely. Friends can have a positive or negative influence on your life. So don't pick friends who are doing bad things, smoking, drinking, or drugs. You have a bright future ahead of you, and your friends should too. Choose friends who support your good choices, encourage you to live a healthy emotional and physical life, and who you feel good around. Listen to your gut instincts when it comes to friends. Protect and be safe with your body. Your body is yours. Do not let anyone touch it who is not extremely deserving, and not until you are much older. Say no when you don't want to be touched. Leave when you don't feel comfortable somewhere. You do not have to stay somewhere. Call daddy. Call a girlfriend or boyfriend. Get out when you don't feel comfortable. Trust your instincts. This one is serious to mommy. You only deserve the best. And if someone who is not the best wants to touch you, he or she is not for you. You should only be touched by someone who cares about you, respects every single part of you, is kind to you, gentle with you, listens to you. Don't let just anyone be with you. Not worth it. Doesn't feel good. And you can be doing other things with your time that doesn't put you in an uncomfortable, compromising, or dangerous position. Do something meaningful with your life. Your days will feel that much more fulfilling. Share your feelings. No need to keep them bottled up inside. Not only do other people want to know how you feel, but it's therapeutic and a good release to share those feelings. Any feeling is okay. There's a saying, name it to tame it. Naming your feelings helps you process how you feel. Your feelings are important, valuable, and precious. They matter. Keep your body healthy and fit with food and exercise, and no pesticides, right, Hannah? Your health has such a massive impact on your life. You don't need to be the most fit person ever. Vocal is good too. You just need to be healthy and take care of yourself. Meat isn't the answer. Vegan, vegetarian would be my preference for you, but you can decide that on your own and make your own choices. Exercise gives you energy and releases endorphins. It can be the most wonderful stress reliever. And enjoy your food. Food is delicious. But also be mindful of eating well and fueling your body with good, healthy food. Share your story. It is important, and it's what makes you, you. No one's life is perfect, and the roses and thorns of your life have made you the person you are today. Challenging times help you grow and evolve, and the good, fun times brighten up your world. The good, the bad, the ugly, own it, cherish it, and remember it has helped shape you, your perspectives, your values, and your dreams. It's good advice. I love you guys.
Thank you, Ariel. We're going to call on friends to share memories. Rachel Gogo Steinbeck and Eric Susser.
Hi, I'm Erica, another one. I will also be sharing this for Carrie, who couldn't be here today, so I will need to kind of channel her. Just imagine that I am tall, blonde, and super calm, all things I am not. So this is from Carrie. 24 years is a long time. I know very few people that I keep in contact with longer than her, family excluded. But then again, Rachelle was more like family than just a friend. She was really the sister I never had. She was my rock, the one I could go to with anything and be heard, listened to, and loved no matter what. As a side note, in my written and emailed note, loved was capitalized and underlined. I love how she always underlined the really important feelings in a card. Unfortunately, Microsoft doesn't allow that. Maybe something to think about. I've been trying to think of a special story to share, and it's very difficult because they were all special. This was a woman, which by the way is what we called each other, woman or mujer, that was always present in life, always kind, and always accepting. Not to say we never disagreed in all that time, but do I remember it? No. What I remember is joy. I remember her voice so warm and comforting. I remember her hug so strong and so supportive. I remember her laugh so frequent and so pure. I remember her smile so big and so beautiful. I wish so much that I could be here today to ugly cry with you all. But rest assured, I am ugly crying all over this piece of paper as I write. What I will always remember about Rachelle, Rara, my woman, mi mujer, the Oprah to my Gail, is joy. Joy that emanated from her and joy that she brought to others by being a part of their lives. This is a woman whose life was cut short, but this is a woman whose life was full. Look at her family, her husband, her kids, her friends. Look at a life lived to its fullest, and that is Rachelle. That is my woman.
So before I read my prepared remarks, I just thought I would explain a little bit about why I am Go-Go and why Rachelle was Go-Go. In the spirit of like our Zoom meetings with icebreakers, just to let you know a little bit about me and her. So Go-Go and I met on the first day of law school, and we were in a legal writing class together. And our first assignment, we had to find a partner and write a joint memo. And Rachelle and I decided to do this together, along with a friend, Tom, who may be watching virtually. He totally dropped off and did nothing, which he would even acknowledge. And so Rachelle and I were working together, and Rachelle, I'm sure it comes as no surprise, was very on her game, liked to be prepared, do things in advance, get things done early. I was more a procrastinator, a little laissez-faire, fly by the seat of my pants, knew it would get done, you just had to be up late doing it. So the night before it was due, we were in the library until midnight when they kicked us out, and then we went to a room in the law school where we spent the next 4 hours, where I was grateful that Rachelle didn't kill me finishing this memo. And at 3 a.m., we were both exhausted, but I was like, we can do this. And so we put on some Michael Jackson, stood on the tables, and started dancing. When we turned in our memo, we had to come up with a fake name, a pseudonym, so that our teacher wouldn't know who it was that he was grading, and we came up with Playboy Tom and the Go-Go Dancers. And from then on, we were Go-Go's. And even when my parents got her wedding invite, they actually had no idea what her first name was. They were like, oh, her name is Rachelle. And I was like, yeah. So I actually don't know that Hannah and Jacob know my real name, and I know that Elodie, my father, only knows her as Go-Go, and only ever will. And I'm a super ugly crier, so I apologize in advance. To encapsulate your feelings for someone you have known, deeply loved, and shared so many life experiences with for 16 years is an impossible task. It is that much harder when these are not words you want to write, let alone say out loud, because saying them out loud makes what is so unreal real, even if you know it's real. But here we are, hearts shattered, mourning a life, the most beautiful life, that was taken from us far too soon. And the person I would otherwise turn to for help, the person who would know the exact right thing to say and the exact right way to say it, is the person who has left us. I know what she would have told me to do. She would have said, speak from your heart. There are endless memories that fill my heart about Go-Go. She was my first friend in law school and my closest friend in life. She was the most kind-hearted, extraordinarily loving, and emotionally intelligent empath to ever exist. She was intimidatingly smart and indefatigably driven, coming up with Shark Tank ideas a decade before Jacob would become obsessed with the show. and crunching numbers and spreadsheets with as much enthusiasm as she brought to watching The Real Housewives, which, as many of you undoubtedly know, was a lot of enthusiasm. She was someone who, on a moment's notice, would drop everything to meet me at Blue Agave, a genuinely shitty Mexican restaurant in the Viagra Triangle here that became our spot, and where we spent 15 years. I swear no one has spent 15 years at Blue Agave, sharing stories and laughs and giving and getting each other's advice and guidance about matters big and small over nachos and margaritas. She was someone who came to law school intent on entering corporate law, succeeded in entering corporate law, and yet never found quite what she wanted in her jobs. And that is because, as we all know, the job that she was meant to have, the position that would bring her the most joy and fulfillment in the world, had nothing to do with business or the law. Its name was Mommy, and her bosses, in chronological order, were Jacob, Hannah, and Ella. Before the kids came around, of course, she met Dan. And there's so much I would love to say about Gogo meeting Dan, about how much Gogo loved Dan and his whole family, and about how they were so perfect together. Because even in those times when she wanted to slowly poke both of his eyes out, a little reminder that Gogo, you always feel better when you talk to Dan, would send her talking to Dan, and she would always feel better. Because boy did Gogo love Dan. And boy did and does Dan love Gogo. And while I anyway would have independently liked and adored Dan for so many things, I loved and love Dan for how much he loved Gogo. Fiercely, unreservedly, at all times, he just wanted to make his Shellster happy. What an extraordinary quality in a partner. I will forever love you, Dan, for loving Gogo so completely. But I'll reserve those stories for another time. I know this is going epically long, so I'll just say a few final things. First, before and through mommyhood, Gogo was someone who believed in cherishing every moment and fully celebrating every special occasion, even all the Hallmark holidays where it's like, oh, she would buy the cards, write the cards, front and back. She did everything. And as the last 16 months brought into sharp relief under a decidedly uninvited light, she was someone who truly lived life, fully, actively, intentionally, authentically. She lived the life she wanted to lead. Sometimes that meant trying on 140 wedding dresses, none of which were bridal enough, until she found the precise one that she would wear on her wedding day, and I'm not exaggerating, 140. I went with her to every fitting. Other times, that meant planning the most special Minecraft birthday party for Jacob, or having this most special Mommy Hannah day, or, as she shared with me, I know, Ella, you're so cute. Or as she shared with me when I had my baby, taking time while she was changing Ella's diaper to just enjoy those moments of connectedness on the changing table, laughing and squealing with the adorable little human gazing back at her. Those are qualities that I've tried to channel every day since I've known her, and that I will continue to channel through the rest of my journey. After I moved to LA and our Blue Agave dates turned to phone and FaceTime dates, it would often take us literally minutes to get off the phone because we would each keep saying, I love you, to each other, not wanting the call to end. When I saw her at the hospital the day before she passed, and I left for the day, knowing I'd be back the next day, we engaged in the same call and response. I love you, I love you, I love you. It will forever remain true. I love you, Gogo. We love you. And you will always, always, always be with us. I'll end with one last note. I did not talk with Gogo before she died about what she believed came next. I think I just didn't want to leave open the possibility that this could become a reality. But I vividly remember this story. She was really close with her grandfather, Papa George, who never got to meet Dan. And one day, Gogo was at Dan's, and Dan had a chair from his Grandma Mary, and there was a lamp next to it. And I can't remember, were you already engaged, or was it before you'd gotten engaged? I know, one of those. And she told me, Gogo, the lamp and this light flickered, and I knew that it was Papa George, letting me know that he approved of my decision to be with Dan. I choose to believe that Gogo remains with us, that she is watching this, and that she will watch all things, and especially the things with her children, that she will rejoice with us in the good times and stand beside us through the rough ones. And as she does, it is my hope that she will every so often give us that sign that she feels our love, and that despite not being here with us, she will never leave.
It was easier doing this for someone else. The last time I did this was at Rachelle and Dan's wedding. Rachelle was and will always be a wife, a mother, a daughter, a sister, a granddaughter, an aunt, a cousin. But to me, she will always be my best friend. We met at the bus stop more than 26 years ago. And in that time, we cultivated a friendship filled with laughter and love. So many inside jokes. We shared dreams and aspirations. But more significantly, we understood each other's minds and hearts, and through a quick glance, always knew what the other was thinking. We grew up together and shared in each other's major milestones and achievements. Graduations, college, grad school, jobs, weddings, houses, and children. But we'd always find each other in the smaller moments, late night chats on the porch with orange slices, CPK lunches, and later trying to coordinate visits, a meal or coffee together, and if we were lucky, a play date with the kids. As adults, we lived far apart, but our friendship always traversed the distance. Rachelle and I shared so many firsts together. But now it breaks my heart that we now have lasts. And it's hard not to feel empty and lost without her. Dan and family, words fail to capture the extraordinary fortitude that you have all demonstrated in the face of the unimaginable.
You redirected rivers. You moved mountains. And we all prayed for the stars to align. In the midst of this incomprehensible sorrow, there is still joy to be found. Because if you're here today, it means you have been fortunate enough to have known Rachelle, this exceptional human being and beautiful spirit. It means that you have been illuminated by her light, warmed by her compassion and kindness, been awestruck by her courage, her relentlessness, her determination, and on the receiving end of her radiant smile. This troubled world has been made better. Because of her, we have been made better because of her. And we are forever in her debt. We are left with no choice but to be grateful for the precious time we had with her, to hope and pray for healing, and to uplift this beautiful family so that their 3 torches, Jacob, Hannah, and Ella, may illuminate her memory for many, many years to come. I will miss and love her every day. Rachelle, my best friend forever.
Thank you for those beautiful words. We're going to call on Scott and Erica Kassman, brother and sister-in-law, to join us in a pre-recorded video from Mommy Life Tips.
Have a compassionate and grateful mindset.
Be kind to yourself.
Accept love.
Find joy.
Know when to let go of anger.
Fill your life with things you enjoy.
Be your best self.
Don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid not to try.
Don't give up.
You are in charge of how you react to things.
Love yourself as much as you want to be loved.
Make your own happy.
Be brave.
Thank you. So many invisible strings, all connecting to that extraordinary heart. To have a friend in life is a gift. And Dan, you had and have Rabbi Ari Margolies as your friend from back at ZBT, back at Northwestern. You knew Ari even before he knew he wanted to be a rabbi. So not only do you have a friend, but you're your own personal rabbi, which I want to believe is a blessing. Ari?
Thank you, Rabbi. And I know that you have many rabbis in your life now. And I know one of those rabbis is Rabbi Dror, who it tears his heart that he can't be here physically with you, as he's been with you and Rachelle throughout your journey. And he sends his utmost love to you and your whole family in this moment. But because he could not be in here, he called in the bullpen to the righty. And now I'm standing in his place. And he asked me to have the privilege of sharing, Dan, your own words that you shared at Rachelle's funeral in Arizona, that we wanted to give everyone here the chance to hear. So my best Dan imitation. My love, I am so proud of you. We're all so sad because it should have been decades more. But you fought so hard and so brave to give us this one more year with you here with us. We saw how dedicated you were to this life and to your family. Just imagine what Jacob and Hannah and Ella will accomplish when they apply all of the lessons and share all of the love that you brought into their world. You will be a huge part of everything we do. And it's not just me and the kids. You brought this light to everybody you met. You were simply the best. We're not just sad because 40 is too young. We're sad because we all lost one of the most exceptional humans to ever walk on this earth. Truly, you left a positive impact with everybody lucky enough to know you. Time is only one of the variables. Even though we didn't have as long as we should, we had that beautiful love that can't be measured in time. It was spectacular. But more importantly, it is. Your love is still here, and I get to sit next to 3 beautiful reminders. Even though we're so sad right now, I'm okay. And Jacob, Hannah, and Ella are going to be okay. Because me and all these people around us will be here for them, and we'll make sure of it. And we're not just going to be okay. We're going to live a beautiful life that makes you proud. We brought you some dirt from our house in Chicago as a way to connect us with your new home at 1103, a number we get to see and think of you at least twice a day. I haven't been short-winded as I've been speaking for us on this journey. As I talk to you here, I know you wouldn't want all of us to sweat too much, so I can keep it short and sweet. Because we said it all. Oh, how we will miss you. Rest easy, my love. I've got it from here. Love, Dan. And Dan, we're here with you today because we know that you've got it. But you don't have to got it alone. We all know how you and Rachelle have made the most incredible team. And how you've both dedicated yourselves constantly to making sure that Jacob and Hannah and Ella, and that Rachelle dedicated herself to making sure that you have all you need. And that all of us will be able to carry her with us and with you. For all the times when you will continue to need her, she will be here with you and in the people that you love. And you spent such incredible, memorable, and intentional time together. Not only when Rachelle got sick, but since you met, since you became parents, in all the ways that you've shared life together. And you will carry her voice with you through those memories and through the incredible video library that you've created together, so that you and your children will always have her words with you. Dan, you asked me to share some of her words, to say that the best way to remember her is to let her speak for herself on this day, to allow her loving tributes to be with all of us as she's reflected on what she wanted to share should this day come. And you can take pride to know that her proudest moment that she spoke about had to do with you. Marrying you, Dan. Being privileged to be the one to bring the 3 amazing children into this world with you. And her unique relationship that she was able to forge with each of them, that they can each continue to take with. She said Ella was her dream come true. You'd always thought of only 2, but that dream compelled her and you to bring one more incredible life into this world. She said, Hannah is our energetic, adorable, love-filled bundle of joy. And will always be there to remind you of Rachelle's joy and love. And to Jacob, she said, Jacob made her a mommy and taught her so much in his specialness and in his curiosity, and how he could always read her mind and know what she needed. She loved, has always loved, and will always love being mommy. She reflected that, Dan, when you first got married, she knew that marriage is an institution where you don't always know what's going to happen, what you're really going to get. But she was so lucky to marry someone who has been through life as we, at all times, in every moment that you shared. And in this incredible interview that you allowed to put together, you had the foresight to have her sit and talk together. She was asked about the people who inspire her most in this world throughout history. And she said it was her mom, Cheryl, and you, Dan. You are the 2 most inspiring people in her world because you both lead with love. About her mother, about Cheryl, she said how hopeful you always are, always seeing the best in others, and in doing so, sometimes helping that person bring out what they might not have seen in themselves. And Dan, she said that you're loving and you're brave and you're the Energizer Bunny with so much to give, and you never seem to get tired, and you have this endless amount of love, an endless amount of ideas and creativity and silliness and joy. That you've kept her going so much. Oh, and Barack Obama. Yeah. She also was inspired by Barack Obama. And that's not bad company to be in, you know, to be in a short list with him. She loved, what she said she loved about Barack Obama was that he always looks at the person he's speaking to and makes that person feel like that individual is the most important person in the world. That's what she read about him and heard about him. And she said, if the President of the United States of America can do that, then we can all do that. And that's certainly how Rachelle interacted with each of us. Totally present. The incredible listener that you've been hearing about throughout our time today. A person who's able to get to the essence of a person and the essence of her relationship. And her genuine presence has helped so many of us here to feel embraced and to be truly seen by her. And when we feel that, it helps us to truly see ourselves. In our Jewish wisdom, in the book of Proverbs, there's a special section dedicated to incredible women like Rachelle. Among the attributes described, these verses speak so directly to Rachelle's nature. She is clothed in strength and splendor. She looks to the future cheerfully. Her mouth is full of wisdom, her tongue with kindly teaching. Rachelle has spent her life putting this kind of love and hope and strength and wisdom and splendor into our world. With her constant determination, even from an early age, she reflected that she was always a determined child. When I set my mind to something, I did it. And boy, did she do that throughout her life. But one of her prime examples that she pointed out about this was her experience at weight loss camp at age 10. Only unlike most stories of this kind, she begged her parents to send her to weight loss camp. She wasn't forced to go like most of the other attendees. And she had a life-changing experience, both in finding information about how to lead a healthy life, which she cherished, but also in the growth experience of going out on her own. Rachelle truly was never afraid to pursue her own dreams and her goals, and she refused to let other people's opinions and expectations get in her way. As you've heard throughout our time here, she was called by different names: Rachelle, Shelster, and she loved the title of Rara given to her by her Papa George. And she recognized one of her favorite memories of being with her grandparents. It was when she was in her early 20s, sitting at lunch with them. She had just gotten into law school at Northwestern. It was a big deal, but it was a big risk. It was far away. And her grandparents looked at her and gave her that supportive moment of feeling love and feeling so sure of herself that she could do it. They gave her the strength to feel good about this big risk and to go forward. And that's what she took from that moment to share with so many of the people who've come to her in their times, in our times of need, in our journeys. She's been there to help us feel that same way about ourselves, that we are loved and supported, and that we can do it. She felt so lucky to have that support and that love that helped her in every endeavor in her journey, right up to the fight with cancer that she extended as long as possible and longer than what she told would be. She spent each day living ferociously and beautifully, striving to make life matter and each moment to be cherished. She breathed to protect and support and love her family. And now we are here today, all of us, in the spirit of fulfilling her wishes, to make the most of our time, to fight for the opportunities to create memories, to engage deeply with those we love, and to lift one another up, because those are her wishes for us. We're here today together to declare our love for Rachelle, and by extension, our love for Dan and Jacob and Hannah and Ella and all of her family. And the charge that all of us carry today is to know that today is not when we are needed most. It's a few months from now when our new normal sets in, when new milestones begin to occur that need to be shared with love, when new developments happen in lives where we feel like Rachelle would know what to do, that's when we need to still be here. And that's when, Dan, we pray that you'll have the strength to be willing to turn to your shared, loving community, to your friends and your family, and to let them in, and to let us help you not got this alone. Rachelle would want that from you, and she would want that from all of us. In the words of poet Merritt Malloy, you can love me most by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch bodies, by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. Let us give our love to one another freely and fully, and allow Rachelle's hopes for us to inspire our actions, so that we not only hold her memory as a blessing for ourselves, but that when we act according to her mommy's life tips, to the wisdom and advice that she's given us, and that we'll still hear in our minds and in our hearts when we need to hear her most, that when we live by her messages and her lessons, she'll continue to be a blessing to our world through us. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be all of our blessing, and let us say, Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi, for being a friend, and all of our rabbis today. I had prepared a eulogy, but instead I'm going to put it away, and I'm going to offer you a lesson from Torah that you have inspired me to give today. But in this lesson, I'm going to ask you to participate with me. Because lots of people have been talking, but I'm going to ask you to respond with me, and you'll see how. In the scrolls behind me in the Sifrei Torah, there are many stories, but the story that the Torah ends with is a difficult one. Moses, who led the people through the desert, Moses, who had stood up to Pharaoh, Moses, who had led the people, was denied entry into the promised land. It was painful, and it was unfair. But at the end of Moses' life, when he spoke to the children of Israel, he said something to them that I imagine Rachelle saying. In Hebrew, the words are "Uvacharta b'chaim," and you will choose life. So can you say those words with me? Choose life. Because she chose life, and part of choosing life means to open your eyes to the beauty in the world and to see beauty, to search for it, when it may not be apparent. And I'll give you a story that Rachelle's Nana told. How she had a shirt that she loved that was stained with bleach. What did Rachelle do with that shirt? She drew a picture on it. She beautified that shirt. She saw the beauty where it didn't exist, and you know that Nana has that shirt to this very day. She did that throughout her life. Choose life. Say it with me. She chose life in the way that she loved her family because she was willing to make demands that they be honest and true, and she loved them fiercely. Cheryl, her mother, talks about being an apple tree, and Rachelle was the apple. But what Cheryl also talked about was not only the deepness of their relationship, but how Rachelle inspired her to grow. And Scott talks about Rachelle's determination. How she took her gifts, but she worked so hard. She outworked everyone because she held on to life. And she was determined to be the best that she could be. She chose life every day. Uvacharta b'chaim, you will choose life. And she had the courage to make friends, real friends, as was so evident today in the beautiful talks that were given. And that we had a sage by the name of Ben Sira, and Ben Sira taught us that if you have a true friend in life, you have a precious gem. Rachelle was that gem. Multifaceted, beautiful no matter how the light shone on it. There was always a facet, and it was always beautiful. She was the truest of friends. But she also had the courage to find her life's partner. And she found him on J-Date of all places. And he found her. And they attended a Cubs game. And to show you how much she loved this man, Dan brought all of his friends to the game. So she didn't just meet with him, she was meeting with all of his friends. And there is this amazing video that your friends made, reenacting that blessed moment at Wrigley Field when Rachelle and Dan met. And what I found particularly moving about that video is that the person who played Rachelle had a beard. It's a good thing she had a sense of humor. She chose to love. And love fiercely and openly, with all of her heart, with all of her soul, and with all of her might. But when you take all of these ideas, none of them compare to the love that she held for her children. When she chose to leave Mare Brown to become a full-time mom, Dan says, well, it fulfilled her emotionally. But the truth of the matter is that it was a compulsion. She could not be home with her kids. She could not be with them. And thank you for this perfect timing. I am almost done, I promise. So today, we are celebrating a person who chose life. We're celebrating a family. We're celebrating a couple who, when they stood under the chuppah, the liturgy refers to the bride and groom as Re'im Ha'avim, loving friends, and that's what Dan and Rachelle were. They were lovers and friends, and that mystical combination of the two. We're talking about a woman who prepared for everything. She read every parenting book in her choice of life, and when life did not choose her, she fought like hell. And I want to say that in our tradition, the wise person is not the one that counts their days. The wise person is the one who makes every day count. And that was Rachelle. The wisest of people. One who teaches us what it means to choose life. Rabbi Margoli spoke about Rabbi Dror Chaikin Gould. He was one of the blessings in Rachelle's life during a difficult period of illness. They created an extraordinary relationship, a bond. And he stood with Rachelle, Dan, and the children throughout these difficult days in extraordinary ways. Unfortunately, Rabbi Chaikin Gould contracted COVID and is unable to be with us this morning, but I asked him to write something, so I'm going to conclude with a brief statement on his part. Rachelle Golden loved authentically, fiercely, and endlessly. From the moment Rachelle was diagnosed with cancer, she fought. Rachelle was given a prognosis of 6 months. She lived 16. That is purely an expression of how boundless her love was and is for her children and for the love of her life, Dan. Rachelle loved her husband and her baby so much that she knew that she would do everything possible to live for Dan, Jacob, Hannah, and Ella. There is no heart more open, more loving, more honest, and more giving than Rachelle's. In this final chapter of her too short and breathtakingly beautiful life, Rachelle walked with a grace, strength, and passion that is unimaginably rare. She was clear-headed about the possibility of death, and yet she clung to life tooth and nail with every breath and every heartbeat. Even in her final moments, Rachelle's prayer was for everything to be okay, for my babies to be okay. She recited the Shema, the Jewish people's statement of affirming love and life and the oneness of the universe clearly and confidently, even when her voice was shaking. Rachelle's love never wavered, not for a second. The world is less bright with the absence of Rachelle's magnificently luminescent spirit. And yet her love and legacy can never die. The invisible string that ties her heart to those that she loved is simply unbreakable. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest way for us to pay tribute to Rachelle's memory is to follow the admonition of Moses. Uvacharta b'chaim. Choose life. Choose life. We rise for the memorial prayer, followed by the mourner's Kaddish.
שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת רחל דבורה בת חי וברכה. הלכה לעולמה. בגן עדן תהא מנוחתה. ענה על הרחמים, הסתיריה בסדר כנפיך לעולמים. וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה. ותנוח בשלום על משכבה. ונאמר Amen.
God, you are exalted and full of compassion. We pray that you grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure. To Rachelle Deborah Golden, who has gone to her eternal home, merciful one, we ask that Rachelle finds peace under the wings of your divine presence. May her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. May she rest bishalom. And to that we can all say, Amen. We conclude our service with the mourner's Kaddish, and in the spirit of the Baal Shem Tov, when we come to the final words, Oseh Shalom Bimromav, I'll invite you to join in song as we remember Rachelle. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agalav v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam u'me'el maya, Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit romam v'yit naseh, v'yit hadar v'yit haleh v'yit halal shmei dekudasha barichu, la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata da'amiram bi'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Uyaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Oseh shalom
Shalom b'imromav. Uyaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. May God, who makes peace in the high places, make peace for us, the entire household of the people of Israel, and all humankind. May Rachelle rest bishalom. May she rest in peace. And to that we can all say Amen. Friends, we're all invited to join together with the family for refreshments.